Hello, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we'll answer what happens if your professional executor dies. One of our listeners, Raymond, asks, what happens to your clients if you die? And by you, I mean Anthony Park. Who is your backup? And he posted this question on a professional executor video, so I'm going to answer this in the circumstance or context where he's asking what happens if Anthony as professional executor dies as opposed to as an attorney. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great question.
Yeah, definitely. So Raymond, thanks for the question. We're going to do our best to answer. So the first question to help answer that question is, can an executor transfer his duties? Right? So if you've named me as your professional executor, can I delegate that to somebody else in case of my passing or my incapacity or what have you? And the short answer is no. Executor and any fiduciary role, like a trustee or a guardian or a conservator, those are non-delegable. You can't just say, I'm going to have my paralegal do that, or I'm going to have my wife do that, even though you name me.
Right.
So the downside of that rule, I guess, is that if I die, I can't have somebody else take over. I can't have a law partner or one of my colleagues take over. And you're probably wondering, oh, why not? That would be so much more convenient. Well, think about it. There's two sides to that coin. It's not my choice to who should be your executor. It shouldn't be. Right. You chose me for a reason. We get along. You enjoy my expertise or whatever. It's not really up to me to just grab one of my buddies or one of my colleagues to step in. I mean, there's more to it than that, and it really should be your choice. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, we've talked about it before. You will talk to the client for many times, check in once a year. You know what's going on. You have a plan, right? You can't just say, oh, okay, well, we've done all that and we work and we jive, but I'll just have someone else take over. It just doesn't work that way.
And by the way, this is not a limitation to just professional executors like myself. This is for any executor. If you named a spouse, a nephew, or a friend, they don't have the right to just say, no, I'm going to have somebody else do it. It's who you choose. So this is a universal rule, at least, with executors. Okay. So then the next issue is, so then can you have a backup executor? Absolutely. Yeah. You can and should name it's called a successor executor in your will or a successor trustee in your trust. And again, it's you naming that person, not me.
Yep. Your choice.
And for some reason, I get this question a lot, like, where does that take place? Okay. So physically in the document, it's literally either the same paragraph or the paragraph right after the one where you nominate me as executor. It'll say, I nominate Anthony Park as executor. But if for whatever reason, I don't remember the exact language.
You can't fulfill the duties
And then you say, then in that case, I name, whoever you choose as your backup. Yeah. I recommend generally at least one successor, but no more than 3. Yeah. So the reason for that is, yes, you should have at least one backup. That's just have one, at least.
Right. Just one, just in case. Right.
But I've had clients come in and try to name have a depth chart of 5 or even 7 in case of, and that's a bit over planning. I mean, if you're at that point, that means a plane crash with everyone in it. Basically, it's just so unlikely, and it'll probably cause you more stress than you realize. You don't need to go down to, what is it with the president? You have the vice president and the pro tem Senate or something.
Yeah.
You don't
there's
have to
a long
go that far
list.
Down. Just have a vice president.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, there's a long list. But if you have to have 7 people as successors, are you maybe not choosing wisely on the first couple?
And exactly. And remember, you should be taking a look at your will at a minimum every 4 years, every Olympics or every World Cup. So, if anything happens to the first 1 or 2, you should have plenty of time to do an update.
Correct.
So then lastly, a related question is what happens when a lawyer dies? And I bring this up because I happen to be, as a professional executor, I'm not just your executor, but I also happen to be a licensed attorney. And in that context, like most responsible lawyers, I have backup counsel. And this is recommended by the rules of ethics in New York. And it's actually required
everywhere,
by my insurance carrier. In Pennsylvania too?
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
Very good. So what this means is I have to choose and have an attorney or a colleague, a trusted attorney or colleague, who is sort of my notify in case of death individual. And in that case, from the lawyer side of things, they basically inherit all my files, all my cases.
Yep.
They're not necessarily your attorney, but at least somebody is there to say, hey, Mr. Smith, Anthony Park has passed away. I'm happy to help you, or I'm happy to transfer your file back to you so that you can find new counsel. At least you know what happened, that I'm not around.
Right.
And you have somebody who's kind of coordinating that whole situation, right?
Exactly. So it's a plan. So if you have to get, documents and you're just not leaving them as is, as the attorney.
So the reason that's applicable with me as a professional executor, same mechanism. If anything were to happen to me and you didn't know about it, you would be notified by my backup counsel.
Yep.
So I know that's not quite the same as having somebody like at the ready to take over and be your executor instead, but at least you'll be notified. And so, Janice, you mentioned earlier that we do have annual check-in calls with
Yes.
our clients who have named me as executor. That's a two-way street. So we're calling partly to make sure sure you're still with us.
Right.
And if you haven't heard from me in a year or two, maybe you need to make sure I'm still around. It works both ways.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of processes to make sure that you know if anything's happened to me, and hopefully I know if anything's happened to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. This was a great question, though.
Yeah, we appreciate the question, Raymond, and we invite
Absolutely.
others to put their questions in.
We recommend Anthony's book, How to Hire an Executor. Definitely has some more information in there about executorship. And like I said earlier, maybe choosings, you don't have to have 7. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Raymond, again for the question. And thanks, Janice. As always, we'll talk soon next time.